What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, talking today about Marvel's Avengers, and I have to do a brutally honest review on this game because there is just so many parts of this that are downright awful. There is some stuff in this that is surprisingly great, but it's kind of just a mesh as to how they've decided to glue this game together. Now first and foremost, I do need to start this video off with a giant warning that you need to keep in mind. This is a games as a service project. While I have managed to beat the main story, play the online, and check out the loads of microtransactions, this is a game that's constantly being updated. The developers have already talked about the fact that there is going to be future battle passes, downloadable content heroes, and even more cosmetics and stuff in the future. So I'm going to be talking about what you're purchasing if you walked into a store and bought this today. Now the biggest thing about this game that did kind of impress me is actually this has a very shockingly well written story, and I'm being dead serious about that. Now from the early trailers and stuff, it looked like this was going to be kind of a paper-thin plot, but what we're getting here is about 9 hours of a single-player story that has some really heartfelt moments. Now, of course, a lot of us these days really love Marvel characters because they all manage to be so well-rounded. Like, a lot of us enjoy the fact that Thor manages to be the god of thunder, but he's also sort of human in his own way, and that Tony Stark can be a hero and also be a dude in a suit flying through the sky and trying to save his friends. These characters manage to be very three-dimensional, and I'm actually really happy to say they convey that in this game extremely well. So the story of this game actually focuses around a very tragic event called A-Day. All the Avengers have gotten together to try and unveil this new piece of technology that ends up going completely nuclear and exploding and actually leading to the deaths of literally thousands of people. It causes this huge infection, there's like radiation in the streets, it is a huge freaking mess, and so the Avengers officially disband and decide to go into hiding. The plot of the game picks up 5 years after this tragedy with a new hero named Miss Marvel, and she's basically trying to go on her own personal mission to unite the Avengers and save the world once again. And while this sounds cliche, there are so many really freaking good moments in this. I mean, some stuff in here just completely impressed me down to my core. Like, let me give you a specific example here. There's a mission where you find Tony Stark and he's like in his house just drinking, hanging out, and you ask him to assist trying to get the Avengers back together, and right as you start talking to him, huge killer robots start busting the entire estate apart brick by brick, and so the control switches to Tony Stark and you run from room to room, physically bolting on different raw parts of a battle suit and then actually fighting off the robots yourself. This scene is something that's just so amazingly epic and kind of fits these heroes because it's just so well acted, it's so well written, it's so well paced. The main story of this is definitely the only reason you should buy it, because when it comes to the gameplay, this game almost feels like a cell phone game. This combat is incredibly paper thin. Each of the 6 different heroes we can play as has their own unique style, from like laser beams to a heavy hammer you can throw, or obviously playing as the Hulk and just super punching stuff, but at the same time, everything just feels so basic. Everything is just a matter of punching or blasting the couple same robots again and again and again. Now, as you watch a lot of these clips, you might assume that this is repeated content or that I'm playing the same missions again and again, when in fact, this is actual scenes from throughout the entire main story and even sections of the multiplayer. Everything in this game looks exactly the same. I mean, straight up, almost every mission is just break into a base, hack a panel, or kill a dude. I mean, everything is just rinse and repeat. Some of this stuff is just so repetitive that even as I was going through it, it felt like I had accidentally selected the same mission twice, because some of these things are literally beat for beat the same enemies in the same location, sometimes even the exact same building, and you just fight them again, but you get a little bit stronger upgrades. This is the giant drawback of the game that almost completely ruins the experience, is the fact that there's not not really any depth. Once you manage to figure out a particular combo for a hero that you like, you can just use it for the entire game. It doesn't really matter which skills you unlock in the tree or how much you manage to upgrade your character. A lot of times you just need to walk in there and just laser beam people and leave. It is just so stale, and what kind of got me is that the weirdest part about this game is the fact that it is trying to be a role-playing game. This is an RPG to its core, so it has a lot of very stupid leveling systems. Now, in my opinion, this creates definitely one of the biggest plot holes of this entire universe, which is, why is this an RPG? Why is it that I'm leveling up and now I'm level 22 and I'm shooting these robots? And why is it that, like, the Incredible Hulk, who's supposed to be borderline indestructible, is getting shot by a random street thug and he dies? How is it that suddenly I can be like Black Widow and do a super attack that does 10,000 damage per second and kill some gods, and then suddenly be playing Captain America again and I'm just so weak I can't kill a level 1 opponent? I mean, even more so, another giant plot hole is, what does this actually mean for the universe? I mean, does this mean that they fought off Thanos when they were level 0? Does that mean that Galactus was level 0? How are they level 1? I mean, they directly say the words in this that they've been doing the Avenger thing for years, so it's not like this is their first adventure. It kind of ruins the entire immersion, the fact that this is just a really paper-thin, really forced role-playing game. And again, I have to go back to the fact that this feels so much like a cell phone game to me, because the combat is just so simplistic, and the fact that you kind of just run through the same 3 or 4 maps again and again and again in slightly different paths, it kind of makes it where you feel like you're just tapping a cell phone screen to try and get your daily rewards. Because yes, this is mostly being an online experience. It's supposed to be one of those games where you do your daily quests, you do your weekly quests, you level up your character a little bit, and then you eventually just quit. I really do not like the fact that this game is just so focused on grinding. Needless grinding that doesn't add to the plot, it doesn't add to the characters, it doesn't add any immersion, it's just something to try and preoccupy you. The main focus of all this grinding is, of course, getting more loot. Every time you do one of these missions, you can do side paths or optional objectives to get even more upgrades, to get a special, like, new pair of lungs for the Incredible Hulk, or a giant, like, special upgrade for Miss Marvel that makes it where every time she stretches her arms, it does extra damage. But even as I'm unlocking the most powerful gears and going into the menus to manually upgrade the pieces that I think are the most special, I can't really care about any of this, because what does it matter? I'm doing this after I've pretty much already saved the world, right? I mean, I finished the main story, I got a chance to do all the craziness with Tony Stark and his friends, but now, at the end, it just kind of falls apart. It's like, hey, congratulations, you defeated all the bad guys. Oh wait, here comes 10 million more bad guys. And it's especially weird because even though we're superheroes, we're flat out murdering people. I mean, they are very, very clear about the fact that these people cry in pain. They beg you to stop. I mean, it's kind of baffling to me that nobody decided to just run this through a game and say, does this connect? The biggest issue, though, isn't just the fact that this game has microtransactions and that they really, really push you to the cosmetic store constantly. To me, the major issue is that this game is just full of glitches that completely break the experience. I'm sure, as you probably noticed in a lot of these clips, the game has some serious frame rate issues. All of this is being recorded on a PlayStation 4 Pro, and a lot of times in some of the tighter environments with more enemies, it was probably running at a buttery smooth 15 frames a second. I mean, it's practically a comic book slideshow, ironically. And more than that, I had some pretty crazy glitches like sound cutting out, the music stopping, some really annoying stuff. Here is a huge dramatic cutscene that's incredibly important, and I'm going to play the raw audio. Do you hear this right here? Yeah, do you hear this nice storm? Yes, all of the voices stopped. Everything in this entire game stopped except for the background audio. You can even hear this little ping as I get an achievement. How did this even happen? How do you have a game that manages to just completely shred itself? Why did you bother recording such a great story with amazing talented actors if you're not going to play the audio? And this isn't even the worst of it. I actually ran into some game-breaking glitches that broke missions. Like this right here is something that popped up multiple times. It is an infinite health enemy in a spot where we cannot progress until every enemy is dead. So I can just blast this guy, uppercut him, literally stand here all day long because I can't progress. Why is this game such a freaking shard of programming? Why did you decide to take a game that has such an interesting story and then just not care about the graphics? Why did you not care about making sure it ran properly? Why did you not make it fun to play if you're going to put in such a heavy focus on multiplayer? I'm especially annoyed because before this game even came out, I decided to try and sit down and read the comic book because yes, they decided to make a comic book that tied into this game. These were really good too. How did you manage to screw up the game if you have this much marketing to it? Okay, well, we've heard a lot of bad and a little bit of good, but let's go over the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Marvel's Avengers a 6 out of 10. So a lot of the reviews recently have been really exploding. So for this one, I want to try and do something extra special, which is that if this video gets, I don't know, let's say 10,000 likes, because a couple of the reviews now have actually hit 10,000 likes. If this video gets 10,000 likes, I'm going to give away a PlayStation 5 to a random subscriber. And yes, I'm being absolutely serious. So please press that like button. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next review. But please do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.